As the 2021 election rapidly approaches, many young voters are left wondering why they should vote. Former West Leyden student Leslie Menares talks about why it's important for young voters to get involved.
I think that it's very important for younger people to vote because it's going to be our future. We're going to be living in this world for a long time, and it's more important to put ourselves out there and what we believe in, and our voice is powerful. And so by voting, we can change the world.
Questions also arise when looking at the different ways to vote. Leslie tells us how she voted.
So I already voted, and the way I approached it was more of I registered online first, and then since I can't be at home because I'm away at college, I requested the absentee ballot, and that's how I just sent it through mail.
But problems also arise when looking at the young voter turnout. According to New York Times, only 48% of young people 18 and up vote. Leslie leaves us with the final message as to why young people shouldn't be discouraged.
Honestly, if you can vote, you should go do it because each vote matters no matter how old you are, well, as long as you're of age to vote, and every single one will make a difference in some way.
Election being days away, there's a huge call to action for all our young voters. I spoke to Haley Allen, who is a history teacher at Ombudsman Chicago South High School. She's a young millennial who is well educated in politics and wanted to inform our young adults on the importance of their vote.
I think it's extremely important for our students and for younger people to vote because we should have younger voices heard and represented. They make up a large part of our society, and the part of government is to represent all of us. So they should definitely be included in that choice.
About 1 in 10 Americans did not learn about this year's presidential election, and of that percent, half of them think their vote doesn't matter.
Voter apathy is a really huge issue, I think, all across America, not just with our youth voters. And I would say that voter apathy is completely wrong. Every vote does matter and does count. It's the collection of people thinking that their vote doesn't count that makes voting not count.
First-time voting is a great way to help the future of our society, and a great way to get yourself involved with the constant changing world around you. For WLTV, this is Sebastian, Emily,
The
and
return of
Cassidy.
school coming up, Assistant Principal Mr. Sherrills gave us information on what returning students should expect.
Students that are coming back, we've visited other schools, we've talked to a lot of other colleagues whose schools are open to try to figure out the safest and best way to do this. And we found that to comply with everything what the state is asking us to do, and also what we think is best from a health perspective, students will have to show a green QR code that gets them into the building from an app called Crisis Go. And the way they get that green code is their parents are going to have to answer an email with a couple questions every morning. Every student will have their temperature taken coming in. And then if you do not have that green QR code, you'll go into a non-fast pass line, like at Disney World. That your mask fell off, or that you pulled your mask down and you forgot to pull it back up. Students aren't expected to get in trouble for that, but I think if it's progressive and it's something that is on purpose or something that happens over and over again, then that's something that our deans will work with the students on. Each case individually, right? So there's a quarantine room that the student would be put into right away, and obviously we'd call their guardians or their parents as soon as we were able to identify some symptoms.
A Leyden parent gave her opinion on the return of school.
Pues yo pienso que está bien que estén los niños ahorita en casa, porque si está pasando lo del virus, es mejor tenerlos a salvo en casa. Yo prefiero que estén estudiando en casa.
A senior student from Leyden told us a little about why he won't be returning.
Because I have a little 4-year-old sister and a younger 8-year-old brother, and my parents did not want me to take any risks of getting COVID.
With all the procedures and cautionary measures in place, parents and students are left with a tough decision come November 16th. For WLTV, this is Kiara Fuentes.
As we all know, trick-or-treating is done during Halloween every year worldwide, but trick-or-treating is not the best idea for this year because in Cook County alone, there's 181,000 cases that are slowly rising by the thousands. This is actually the most number of cases out of any other county in Illinois. If that doesn't strike you enough, Then double check your area of choice to see how safe you really are from the virus. Some alternatives for trick-or-treating are pumpkin carving, costume parties, and haunted houses, and you should always remember to keep the amount of people to small groups of 10 or less if you do participate in these activities.
Hey, I'm Javi. I'm here with Amanda Garcia. I will be asking her a series of questions. Amanda, how do you feel about Halloween possibly being canceled this year?
I think it's very understandable this year considering the circumstances we're in right now, especially because COVID cases are still rising.
I think that kids should still go trick-or-treating despite COVID-19.
I think it should be definitely a conversation parents have with their children, and I also think they should be respectful of other people that don't want to participate in trick-or-treating and not knocking on their doors if the person's house doesn't want to participate.
It's not a good idea to go trick-or-treating because the risk kids are going to be taking with COVID-19. Lowest risk, virtual-only gatherings, which could mean all display decorations would have to be inside of your homes, which will be including digital video conferences and costume contests held over Zoom. Moderate risk, small gatherings where everyone could still be 6 feet apart while wearing face masks. Higher risk, traditional trick-or-treating or handing out candy to the kids, and all indoor events will have to be moved.
Some possible precautions you can do to still continue trick-or-treating.
I think the biggest one should be maintaining like 6 foot distance with people that aren't within your group. Definitely carrying hand sanitizer and hand sanitizing your hands before you grab the candy. And I think we should continue to wear the face coverings outside and while you're knocking on people's doors if Halloween were to happen.
Still make Halloween fun this year.
You can do a lot of the usual things like pumpkin carving and watching scary movies with your family. Maybe going to a pumpkin patch that day.
So the usual, but besides the trick-or-treat.
Overall, celebrating Halloween can be pretty risky depending on which way you celebrate it, but that doesn't mean you should give up your Halloween spirit. This is Alan Vasquez signing off.
Hi, my name is Mr. Bernstein, and I'm coming to you today from the heart of the forest to ask you to be a part of the first play of the year called Ah Wilderness.
Like all classes at Leyden this year, the theater program has had to adapt. Mr. Bernstein, the director of Leyden's fall play, Ah Wilderness, is excited for this fall's virtual show, premiering November 6th, 7th, and 8th. It will be hosted as a radio program featuring actors, music, sound effects, and commercials. One of those actors, Mia Yelich, explained how they've adapted in 2020.
We are currently rehearsing on Zoom. We are just going over scripts and rereading.
Wilderness, written by playwright Eugene O'Neill, is a family comedy and teenage love story that debuted on Broadway in 1933.
Our Wilderness is about Richard and Muriel, a passionate young couple exploring the unknown territory of falling in love for the first time.
This will be available November 6th and 7th via stream.
And if the lights won't turn on, the show must go on. So join Mr. Bernstein, Mia, and the rest of the Ah Wilderness cast for this one-of-a-kind radio broadcast.
This has been Mr. Bernstein, coming to you from the Ah Wilderness, and I hope to meet you online again soon.
The IHSA has decided not to follow the guidelines of Governor J.B. Pritzker in the Illinois Department of Health. The IHSA has decided to let sports begin, but under the safe rules. The feeling for both coaches and athletes are mixed with emotions. With the same mixed emotions, many of the sports teams, like the Leyden girls swim team, had felt when they found out their season was going to happen. Caricia Roos, a senior on the girls swimming team, expresses about how she felt when swimming started.
Hi, Leyden. I'm Darius, and I'm here with
Caricia Ruiz. So it wasn't that bad. It's hard for everybody, not only athletes, but students as well, and parents and all people. So, we had to get through with what we were doing, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So every day before practice, they would take our temperature and they would ask questions. We also had to wear masks, except for when we were swimming. So senior night was a lot of fun. And after our meet, only immediate family was allowed. And we had our senior night on the new football field at East.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Leyden.
Many athletes feel the same way for the involvement in sports. with all the safety precautions that come with doing sports has affected many athletes. Many of these sports are moved. Things are, of course, very different this year and has affected athletes during the practices and also don't know what is next for the upcoming season. Patrick talks to 3 football players to give us more on preparing for the season.
Hey Leyden, it's Patrick, and I'm here with 3 football players.
Jason, Avi,
Nico.
During practice, we wore masks and we aren't in contact with each other.
Sometimes it affects your breathing and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just a mask. We'll get through it.
Honestly, I really don't know right now. Obviously, the cases are starting to spike and they're starting to close a lot of things down, but all we can do is hope. It's supposed to start in February. I have no idea. The coaches don't know. But we're supposed to get updates as we go, so all we can do is really hope.
All right, thank you. Back to you, WLTV.
What a way to kick off the start of the second quarter. Hopefully, the upcoming sports are able to continue their seasons with correct COVID guidelines. See you guys next time. Go Eagles!